In this episode, I talk with Shannon Waller, one of the voices inside Strategic Coach and a master at naming the invisible dynamics of teamwork. We dig into what it means to multiply through others, how trust, clarity, and creative tension can elevate an entire organization. Shannon and I explore authenticity as a leadership practice, why subtraction can be the most generous move, and how to build environments where people thrive.
Welcome to Beats Working, Winning the Game of Work, hosted by Dan T. Rogers. This show invites you into conversations that go deeper than job titles and hustle. It's about rethinking what work is for and how we can design it to serve our lives, rather than the other way around. Here, we'll talk with leaders, makers, and thinkers who are doing more than earning a paycheck. They're getting paid to practice life.
Well, Shannon, thank you so much for making time for us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. This is my favorite stuff to talk about.
Yeah. Well, we talked a little bit before we started recording, and it's sort of hard for me to imagine that everyone doesn't already know who you are. But for the people that will become fans in the very near future, maybe give folks a little bit of background on your history.
Oh my goodness. So Shannon Waller with Strategic Coach since July of 1991. So that is a long time. I was 26 when I joined, so you can do the math. And actually, as of a couple days ago, it's my 30th anniversary coaching, which has been kind of fun and some nice acknowledgments on LinkedIn, which was really cool. So I've been coaching for a long, long time. So I started coaching. Well, actually, I've been fascinated by people in business since I was about 18 and went to university. And everything I've taken education-wise, training-wise, certification-wise has been because I find I'm all about personal growth and development. I was raised in I call them a hippie family. I'm not sure if everyone appreciates that, but they were. And personal development, 70s, the whole deal, right? I was born in 65. And so that was part of it. But my mom was a social worker and did some I'm like, I'm never going to take psychology because I was like, I did not want any part of the pathology of psychology is what I then figured out many years later. I like the positive side of it. So how can we help people get better? Not how do we fix what's broken? There's other people way better equipped than I am to do that. So that's what's been fascinating for me. So I worked in training and development. One company I worked for, major client was General Motors of Canada. I was actually a training administrator. Go figure. Administration is not my jam. But then I met Dana Babs and Strategic Coach who serve entrepreneurs and was like, finally found my work home. And so that's what I've been doing. I start off in sales, making very healthy living, but I'm excellent, not unique at sales. And then came up with the idea for the team programs, which is a school project. That's a longer story. And I've been passionate about entrepreneurial teams, entrepreneurial teamwork, people working better together and having more fun, being happier, more productive for 30 years. So that's a quick, short history of me.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I don't know that I want to just pause for a second here because I sort of feel like I had this insight. I'm like, how did I not have this insight before? But when you were generous enough to share that you really, and I know how much you love your mom. She's a wonderful woman. We all love your mom. So you loved her and you could sort of appreciate what she did, but didn't want the expression that she had of it.
She's so much more patient than I am.
She is remarkably patient. She spent not hours, but she spent over an hour with me. That's a patient woman for sure. Yeah. But that's interesting. I had never really put together, that there might be folks that are drawn either to, I'll call it social work or therapy, and people that are drawn to coaching, but that the two could have such a adverse response to the other. That's the part.
Yeah, and I'm a little more extreme than most people in my reactions to things. There's that, but there is actually a very fine line, like counseling, which is. There's therapy, there's counseling, they're very connected, and they're really helping people work through difficulties. And I don't want to say fixing something that's broken, but sometimes mindsets are off and the rest of it. And lots of things. I'm a huge fan of cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectical behavior therapy.
Mhm.
Like, they're amazing, partly because they're practical, and which is kind of me.
Yep.
But my number one strength on Clifton Strengths is maximizer.
Mhm.
And so I want to take really amazing things and make them better.
Yep.
And I realized, and that to me is where coaching comes in. And coaching is about asking questions. A really good coach asks really good questions. A really crappy coach asks not very good questions.
Yep.
And so there's an assumption that the wisdom is within, right? Rather than something on the external. So I'm just not, there are other people who are much better at fixing broken things. Restorative is not in my top 20. But I want to maximize. And I want to maximize people. And it turns out that an entrepreneurial environment is where to do that on steroids. That's where the exponential opportunities are. So that's been my playground, which I'm so grateful for. That's kind of how I look at it. Counseling, therapy, and sometimes coaching looks a lot like it. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But it's so that you can move faster, be happier. It's not just, solving a pathology of some kind.
Yeah, and I think it's more than come through, but because I know you and I know the type of person that you are. I know that you have profound respect for that and all that. And I also think that more folks might be more extreme in their take if they had done the work that you have done to know yourself. Right. I think people that are milquetoast just they haven't done, they haven't refined their preferences yet. Right. Which everyone to their own speed. So, and then the other thing that's coming through as you described that too is one, this is a bit of a simplification, but let's see if it's accurate or at least has some accuracy to it. So the therapeutic side may be more focused on the gap and the coaching on the gain.
Yes.
Right?
Excellent insight. Yeah. Yeah.
And both can be valuable, but two wildly different conversations, and maybe two different reasons to do it. Right. Yeah.
It's a good point. And the gap is when you're measuring yourself against another.
Yeah. Give us the gap and gain just in case folks, it's such a strong, I've never, even when I explain it, people get it. I think it's Dan Sullivan has a lot of great stuff, but it's one of the ones that I think instantaneously people get it. And then it's not only easy to get, it's unbelievably powerful to apply for sure.
If I'm talking to an audience that's brand new or not in my normal realm, I will almost always either start or have the gap and the gain in there because it's so universally applicable. Dan nailed it when he did it. And I was in the room when it happened because he was frustrated with this entrepreneur who he knew had a fabulous breakthrough quarter. And I won't mention the guy's name, but anyway, we'll call him Fred. Fred was like, so Dan's like, wanting some good feedback in the room, add some, and he was like, oh no, could have happened this way, should have happened this way. And Dan got mad, which he doesn't normally, but he got frustrated. He's like, all of your progress is like bugs on a windshield. You're just wiping it off. It was true. And so he drew a head. We finally call it Mr. Potato Head. Now it's stylized and looks much better than multimedia. Very cute. But he said, we have a choice about our perspective. How are we looking at things? So if you have an ideal, and we all have ideals, we have ideal weeks, we have ideal quarters, we have ideal companies, we have ideal clients, we have ideal bodies for ourselves. We certainly have ideals for our relationships and for our children, right? Like we all have ideals. Now, they're very motivating. They help us set useful goals. And this is a really cool aspect of ideals. They help us withstand periods of difficulty and hardship. Like I'm gonna tough this through because I'm not gonna give up on my values, right? Like that's really useful. Might explain some current political situations. Who knows? But what they're not good when they're not useful is when we measure ourselves against it because our deals are made up. It's like the horizon. The horizon is it's a mental construct of where the earth meets the sky. But here's the deal. Can you ever get to the horizon? No, you cannot. Even if you run real fast? No. If it's dark outside, no luck. Because we made it up. And so the ideal as we get close moves further away, which is fascinating. Now what does it, and my friend actually used the analogy metaphor of a cruise ship, right? You're in the cruise ship, pull away, foghorn goes off, pull away from the thing. You're at the front of the boat and you're like, we're not moving.
Mhm.
And then you walk to the back of the ship
Yeah.
and you can't see shore.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when all of a sudden you're in the same spot, okay, you made progress from where you started, you're looking
Yeah.
up at the horizon, you're like, I'm not even close. You
Yeah.
feel like failure, frustration, disappointment, all the things, and you're really bummed. And you're at this
Mhm.
level of progress, right? You're here, but you just look ahead and you're like, I could have, I would have, I should have, if only.
Mhm.
Now, if you're turned around and look where you came from, you're like,
Mhm.
whoa, hot damn, look what we pulled
Mhm.
off, right? And that's really good. And then how do you feel about yourself? A sense of confidence and optimism about the future. You're
Mhm.
happy, you're excited, you're generous.
Mhm.
And here's the thing: your point of reference is exactly the same.
Mhm.
So it's a
Mhm.
mindset shift. Are you measuring
Mhm.
yourself against the ideal, or are you measuring yourself against where you came from? So
Yeah.
it's progress versus perfection.
Yeah. Yeah.
And progress makes you a happier person
Mhm.
and makes you a much nicer person to be parented by, to be in a
Yeah.
relationship with, to be, if you're
Yeah.
leading. It's like, when someone else is putting you in the gap and you're not meeting their ideals,
Mhm.
it's not a fun feeling. And if you
Yeah.
want to get the best out of people, including yourself, our deal is stop and measure progress as much as possible.
Mhm.
Still means you're motivated. Don't get me wrong. You're not resting on your laurels, but
Mhm.
staying out of the gap and in the gain is huge. And I think, to your point, coaching is a way to stay in the gain rather
Mhm.
than trying to fix the gap, which frankly isn't really fixable. Human
Mhm.
beings go there. The
Yeah.
point is, how quickly do you get out?
Yep.
So,
Yeah. No, and
um,
I think you said it really, really well. And I think ideals are great for setting direction. They're
yes.
a trajectory,
Yep.
right? But they're not so much a measuring stick,
No,
right? They're an alignment tool, but not like a hard measure.
exactly.
And
The measurement is the problem. Everything else
yep.
about them are fine.
Well, and here's what's so funny is the best thing to measure is what you actually did. So like, how about we just actually look at what happened and just see what that is? That's where we hold the measuring stick, right? So no, I'm like I said, I think it's absolutely brilliant. I mean, I think it's just so applicable, and it's so easy for folks to get. It's like if you look backwards, you've made progress,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to be a very, very jaded person not to recognize progress, right? Or just have such high, incredible standards for yourself, which I would just say is a jaded person. So we've all made progress. So let's just own that. And then, but if you look forward, you have no choice but to be missing. Like you're missing that you will, and hopefully you have not arrived because that means it's over. So yeah,
Right?
no, I think it's one of those. So interesting insight on the coaching there. So you got involved with Coach a long, long time ago, started off in sales and moved into coaching. And then I know some other things transpired early on. So what other things happened in your early strategic coach days?
Well, it's no mistake that my coaching career actually coincides with my 30-year anniversary of being Colby certified. And so, and it's interesting because I thought my brain was going to rust. So I'd gone back to school in 1994. Yeah, goodness, a long time ago. And took a training and design certificate program. First one was all on adult learning, which turns out Strategic Coach's textbook, like it's perfect. It does everything, lots of space, lots of breaks, lots of big tables, like it's just lovely. Like good for us. And then the second one was a training design course. And I had to come up with the idea for a training program. So my clients have been calling me up because I was doing sales and saying, Shannon, can you please explain coach to my team? Because I'm apparently not doing a very good job. And then finally, a team member called me up and said, what have you done to my entrepreneur? They're acting differently. And I was like, oh, there's a business idea here. And I needed a project. So I did it, did well, had no training materials. But that's when I learned to trust my quick start, because I was presenting to a room of HR professionals and they had these like the foam boards, pre-printed, beautiful color handouts. And I had nothing. And I couldn't figure out how to get my idea across. And then I'm walking to the front of the room and I'm swearing to myself, oh, darn, oh, darn, oh, darn, only substitute a few other words.
Yeah.
And I turned around and I said, you're all entrepreneurs making over $100,000 a year. And I proceeded to sell them my idea for a one-day workshop for their team members. So I got an A-. And the one comment was, great presentation. And I'd already stalled it, by the way. This was the second day you could do presentations. Total 9 quick start move. And would have been nice to have handouts. So I was like, no kidding. It would have been nice.
Yeah, would have been good agenda for me to be on as well. Yeah.
I know, right? I just hadn't figured it out.
Yeah.
But I realized I could trust my 9 quick start out of 10. Not so much my fact finder follow through. So I simplified and I adapted and I presented and I demonstrated. So I was true to my Colby. And then well, I guess I didn't even know. I think it was probably the following summer that I actually got certified. And then I went back over my experience and went, oh, that was a perfect example of my ability to think of things at the last possible second, forget minute, last possible second. And I could and be very compelling in front of a room. So that was neat. And I totally got their attention, by the way. They're like, oh, never thought of myself as an entrepreneur making that much money.
Sure.
So that was fun, got their attention. And so that's, I guess, I don't remember what time of year Babs took me to get Colby certified. It was the year the Great Crossover came out, and I had volunteered to help. Babs called me up to see if I would come over to help them. And so I dropped everything on the weekend, did that. And as thank you, she said, would you like cash? Or essentially, would you like capability? Would you like to be Colby certified? And thank goodness I chose to be Colby certified. So we went down. She said, if you go to Arizona, you can't not go to Sedona. So she took me to the Enchantment Resort, got to see the Red Rock Canyon, did this Colby workshop and got certified. And that gave me the confidence to actually start coaching, because I was coaching people who were very different than I was. They were the direct, usually assistants of people with whom direct assistants of entrepreneurs, but from a Colby standpoint, they were the opposite of me. So that gave me the confidence to start coaching, for which I am very grateful. And I didn't know how to design a workshop. I had just watched Dan. That was the closest I got. And there is no training program for this back then. There's no coaching university or anything.
Yeah.
And so he designed the first 3, and then I learned I actually can't coach someone else's design. So then I had to figure out my own. And that's when things took off. So,
yeah. So I'm also hopeful that folks know Colby as well, but let's maybe, at 30 years in, maybe you can give us a little bit of an overview for folks that aren't familiar with it.
So really brief framework. And this has been known for a long time. I learned the model from Colby, but they just put together something that's been around forever. So there are essentially three parts of the mind: the cognitive, mental horsepower, brains, SAP scores, IQ tests, all things, right? Hopefully you've got a decent amount of factory installed, but it's not the only defining factor. Yep. Then there's the profiles that most people are incredibly familiar with. It's called the affective. This is your personality, your feelings, your motivation. And by the way, no productive action happens if you're not motivated. So it actually, everything starts, the engine starts with motivation. And that's, let me see, Myers-Briggs, DISC, Clifton Strengths, Print, PI, did I say DISC? Even which Avenger are you?
Yeah. And there was one, it was probably 20 years ago, that different colored hats as well. Yeah.
Right? Exactly. So we're all familiar. Some are much more valid than others.
Yep. Sure.
Very few are reliable over time, but some. It is useful to know that's the personality. That's what we see. And except in case of Print, it's kind of what's underneath. If you think of an iceberg, it's what's underneath, what's your motivational imprint, which is great to know. But most of them they kind of express what you care about. But you can be smart, you can be capable intellectually, and you can want to something and still want to do something and still not do it. And Colby answers that question of will. What will you do? What won't you do? What are you willing to do? So it's called volition. And Kathy Colby, those are both with a K, by the way, discovered, and her father was Dr. Wonderlick, cognitive profile used by the NFL for years. At some point, she said, Dad, there's something else going on. There's some very smart people who are not successful. He basically said something to the effect of, well, I've done my work. Now it's your turn. So she did.
So awesome.
So she came up with the Colby Index, and their company just celebrated 50 years. And Kathy, and it was my 30-year certification. Kathy Colby passed away May 5th of this year. But what an incredible legacy she's left. It's amazing. And I cannot imagine my life or my family without knowing Colby. I profiled Bruce before I married him. So it's important to know how people strive. And the way I like describing it, which I think is the most useful for me, is it's how your mental energy plays out. Like I have a lot of mental energy. If it's new and different, it's automatically better. I'm really fond of bright, shiny objects.
Mhm.
This is what actually Colby gave me this one. Shannon,
That's awesome.
because I'm always doing the baton unique ability
Yes.
relay.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah, yeah.
customized it for me. I was very happy. But
That's
I literally have bright, shiny objects on my desk, and it's not terribly tidy if you could see it. So what it describes is how much mental energy you have for certain types of activities. If you're taking action, they're only striving. If you don't care about something, a fact finder is not going to fact find, right? A follow through is not going to organize. A quick start isn't going to innovate, and something with implementer is not going to build or craft. And so it measures how much mental energy you have for it. And it only measures strengths, does not measure weakness. If you want weakness, you have to go to another profile. And you can be, so it's fact finder, which is how you gather and share information. Follow through, how you arrange and design. Quick start, how you handle risks and uncertainty. And implementer, which means think of the noun, not the verb, but the noun. It's using implements. Okay. It's how you handle space and tangibles. And then you can either prevent problems, which means you have a short amount of mental energy for it. We don't use weak, we use short. Or when you're willing, it's how you can accommodate or respond. And if you are a 7, 8, 9, or 10, this is how you will take action. This is how you will initiate solutions. So it just incredibly useful. And since I love to talk about how people work together, and that means striving, Colby has been invaluable to be able to understand and appreciate how to work with other people who are radically different than I am. Just a quick example about this, Dan, which you'll appreciate because I think you've heard me talking about it. So I just launched a brand new, last week ago, leadership development program for an engineering company, 31 aspiring leaders. Okay. Most of their motivation is to be perfect, correct, and right. And 69% full 50% of people have that as a motivation. And 69% of them have the 7, 8, or 9 in fact finder. Even if you don't know what that means, I have a 3 in fact finder.
Yeah. You're like, we better put some meat on this bone.
I got some great coaching. Engineers like facts and figures and stats. So darn it if I didn't make up some slides that had all the facts and figures about myself and about coach. Anyway, once they give you credibility, once you have it, you're good.
Yep.
But thank God I knew that. If I just tried to go in and be my lighthearted, serious-minded self, it would not have landed.
Yep.
So it allows me to bridge. Like I can adapt how I'm communicating to them, and then once I've made that effort, they will also do the same with me. So it's just instrumental in knowing how better to work with people. It means I don't have to feel like I need to do all the things. If I need some facts and researching, I know who to give it to because they actually thrive in that. Where I'm like burnt out, and I'm an excellent reader. My mom taught me to read when I was 3. But take me to the reference library in Toronto where I live, and I used to like pass out. And I'm a good reader. I'm not a great reader. But researching killed me now.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah. Well,
so that's partly how Colby is useful and what it is.
Well, we're both, as you have already confessed, and I will happily join you. We're both massive fans of Colby. You're deeper in it than I am, but just what I have found really, really helpful. I mean, I loved everything that you shared. It sort of uncovers. So the other assessments can be valuable, but if you're paying attention, you'll figure that out. Like you're going to figure out someone's IQ pretty quickly. And if you are paying any attention at all, you're going to figure out their basic personality because you see it. You can't really hide it.
No.
What's really helpful about Colby is it doesn't, a high fact finder to us quick starts, they just look lazy or reluctant or indecisive or something. And it's like, no, I think it really helps show what isn't readily available if you're not inside the other person. You can tell an introvert from an extrovert and get it right 85% of the time.
Right.
You have absolutely no idea if someone's a fact finder or if they're a procrastinator. Like you just don't. If you have any humility, right? If you have any humility, right? Yeah. And so I think that's it's unbelievably valuable. And then I think for the individual, because we use it internally, what it's helped with other people is it's helped clue them in because they were so trying to be somebody else. I know. And I don't know that this one ever happened, but for the sake of argument, we have we had somebody that was a fact finder that was like, I was so trying to be Dan that now it makes sense. Now I have permission because I can go be a fact finder. I don't have to start fast, right? Or vice versa.
Yeah.
And that's
so well said. So well said, Dan. And that's kind of why I love it. And this is actually what happened in my coaching session is people had this, everyone's trying to emulate the person they look up to or that they respect or who has the position that they have.
Yeah.
You try and become somebody else, you end up contorting yourself into this really uncomfortable position that frankly is not sustainable. And, in an entrepreneurial world, things are unpredictable. You better learn how to rely on yourself and your strengths and your talents and your instincts because it's not that predictable. You have to create new things. So that's partly why I love Profile so much is it tells me in a world of uncertainty what I can count on.
Sure.
And it's interesting because I actually had someone say to me on the way to the airport, we were both on the same shuttle. He goes, he basically said the word process. I have to think things through because up until now, I was trying to emulate the people I know who have the role I want. And now I have to think about how am I going to get there with my strengths. I'm like, yay, message received, which is amazing. Yeah. But there's so much unlearning to do, which is why some people actually don't take their profiles seriously or they don't want to because it doesn't match up with who they think they should be, right? And they're like, I'm going to override that. They end up exhausted, sick, and usually failing. And I know I have a high standard about with whom I want to work. I want to work with people who are fully dialed in to their strengths and capabilities, who will maximize the you-know-what out of it to help get us where we're going. I don't want someone who procrastinates stuff. I want someone who's going to lean in hard. And I can tell when someone's going against their grain. And I can tell when there's resistance. I love that ad from that brilliant woman. Ain't nobody got time for that. Right?
Yes.
And so it's like, I need to know what can I count on you for? And Colby is so cool. And to your other point, it would take at least 3 months working with someone before you truly had an inkling of what it was like. Because people can fake it for that long.
Yeah. Well, and I also think, again, that's why I'm like the humility of it. It's just too hard. Either that or I'm just too self-centered, one or the other, like, or both. Right. But I think it's just so difficult to really be able to get inside of somebody like that because it's just the observation. If I get honest with it, it's like, no, there could be a lot going on there. Like really. So as we talk about leaning in on sort of the unique ability and how we're going to naturally strive and all that, maybe talk about, and also what made me think about was the person on the shuttle, how you've watched people continue to focus their attention and their effort closer and closer to unique ability and the things that they had to let go, maybe even the things that they were good at, or maybe even excellent at that didn't fit unique ability, and talk about that. Because I think that when you were talking about the person on the shuttle, that's where I went. I was like, well, maybe they're not even aspiring to the right job.
Well,
well,
that might happen. And because at the end of this, some people are going to move on to that and some people probably will not. And my goal is actually for people to self-identify. Yes, we can have this little board of whatever who goes, and we decide the criteria, yes, no, maybe later, which is also the same criteria we use for our coaches. But I would so much prefer someone to go, you know what, I thought I wanted this, but after everything I've learned, I don't want that. I want to be a specialist over here. This is how I want to contribute. This is what I have to offer this company. That would be a brilliant takeaway. I don't want to have to tell someone. That just means they're not self-aware enough, which means I haven't done my job, because trust me. So I before I forget, there's 3 ways I look at people need to develop: self-awareness, team awareness, company awareness. And I'm going to say capability as well. Let's be clear, right? Yeah. It's like once you know yourself, then you apply that same grace to other people, taking time to understand them and conflict resolution, all those good things. And then you also better know what you're harnessing your efforts towards, and that's the company goals. Like, what are you up to? Are you business savvy? Do you understand how the business works? Are you measuring the right metrics and all of that? So that's what's kind of important. But to your question, I see a lot of people, there's 2 things. One is they have a cognitive framework in terms of what they think they should be doing, should word. And it's usually and they don't have language. They don't have the language. This is why I'm profile junkie. They don't have words to describe themselves. I mean, part of the reason why it's hard to tell why it's hard to tell someone's Colby is they don't have language for how they strive, right? And so
Sure.
that's the value of Colby and the other profiles is it gives you words to be tangible about it. But people have to get, yes, it's ego to some extent, but I want people to be very confident in those things they're unique at and very humble about everything else. Right? I feel like I live that. And I'm kind of an extreme on a whole bunch of different measures. Is like with my 3295 Colby, I simplify, I adapt, I innovate, and I restore. That's what I was put on earth to do. Right? And if I step outside of those, I'm not living according to whatever you want to call it, divine's plan. And it doesn't work. It's painful. This is the path that is easiest, where I'm the most productive. And this is also where I can produce exponential results. I don't know if we've talked about this, Dan, but I think I probably have. I had an insight one day. I was at a couples connection workshop where because we were going through our incompetent, competent, excellent, unique categories of ability.
Yep.
And I just had this flash in my brain, which to my mind, it didn't come from me. It's inspiration, right?
Sure.
Is that unique ability has a 10x return, right? Like that's an exponential. When you invest time, effort, energy in those things, great things happen. Excellent, which is where most people hang out. And that's what corporate trains you to want to do, right? Be excellent. I'm like, it's okay, right? That's 2x. I'll take it. It's better than
it doesn't suck. Yeah,
exactly. It doesn't suck.
Yep.
Exactly. It's exactly what I say, actually.
Yep.
Competent is 1x. Lots of other people just as good at it as you are. Also lots of competition, repetition, fear, anxiety. No, thank you. And then finally, if you're doing something you're actually bad at, you were expressly not put on the planet to do this.
Yeah.
That's incompetent. Or you procrastinate so long you don't do it, it turns into a mess. That's a negative 10x.
Yeah.
It is costing. So that it makes no sense in an entrepreneurial company to have anyone, I don't care if it's your lowest paid person, if they're doing something they're bad at, they're costing you money. And that's true from the person who owns the company, the founder, president, you name it, all the way down. It is costing you money. And we are smarter than that. So getting everyone into at least competent and preferably excellent and unique, to my mind, is really the winning formula. But people do have to unlearn it. This is why I don't love traditional titles. I only like unique ability titles because people are like, oh, I know my Colby doesn't fit that, but I want to be a client executive or a account manager. That's more common. And then they're completely ill-suited for it. They'd be a better analyst. Doesn't matter. They want to be that.
Yep.
And then they fail miserably and leave after 6 months.
Yeah. No, well, you ended up with the 4 categories that I wanted you to sort of walk us through. So I don't want to quiz you or anything like that. But
I like being quizzed.
Walk us. No, I know. I'm confident that you can do it. But can you walk us maybe from incompetent or procrastination all the way up to unique ability?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So incompetent is, and how I coach it is, if you think about it over the course of your lifetime, because I'm usually always coaching adults, you've done a lot of things. Some things you've discovered you were not put here to do.
Yeah.
And my personal, so this is where you have failure, frustration, stress, and conflict. You don't like them because you're not good at them. I am very handy. My hobby is chainsawing. I own 4 battery operated chainsaws. Standard 16-inch bar, pull saw, and 2 pruning saws. And yes, you definitely needed to know that. But I love it. So I'm not clueless with tools. Okay.
Yep.
However, does not extend as far as cars. One time, my husband and I were driving to a course and we had a flat tire and I thought I would help. And so I put the jack underneath the car, but I put it in upside down, trying to push the earth away from the car.
Well, it's one way to try.
No, did not actually work. And so we're just like, Shannon doesn't actually go that way. I'm like, okay, good. I'm done.
Yeah.
And I can do inventory, but I can't promise it's going to be accurate. So you probably don't want me doing that either. That was from my cashier days. So there's just something, and you can tell I have a sense of humor about it. I don't feel like I should be better at those things. I have long since I'm not stressed. I think it's funny. Because I know there's an opposite end to that. So that's incompetent. And again, anything you procrastinate so badly on that you don't do it also falls into this category. So it's good. Even if you're not currently doing those things, it's not a bad idea to identify what they are. So no one tries to give it to you is one thing. The next is competent. Again, for some reason, this is a good word in general world. I mean, I don't want to be incompetent at essential things like reading, writing, and arithmetic. However, so competence, you're adequate, you're okay, you reach minimum standard. But as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of competition, which can be stressful, and repetition, and sometimes anxiety, because you're like, oh, do I have to do that again? And sometimes, like, I know I got competent at administration mostly, but then as soon as I stopped doing it, those things evaporated. Like if I had to go back and do it again, I would be incompetent, because it took a lot of training to get me even okay. And I'm not stupid. So that was not my path. Excellent. This is where it starts to get fun. This is where you have superior skill. You are better at it than most people, and that's not just your ego talking. And this is where you have great teamwork and a great reputation. People come to you and like, oh my gosh, can you help me with a spreadsheet? Can you help me with thinking through this big idea? Can you help me with some logistics? Can you help me talk through this icky conversation that I'm scared to have? We all have different, and people come to you for those, whatever your jam is. And you're like, sure. And then you feel good about yourself. You get all of these external kudos. Again, great teamwork. But at some level inside, you're like, oh gosh, not again. Right. And it's not burnout, it's brownout. So it's just like been there, done there, got too many t-shirts. So there's no passion. Now you can be good at it. It can be fulfilling. It can be satisfying. You can make lots of good money at it. So
I think what one of the things, because when I looked at this, one of the criteria that I used was, it's like, it means more to other people than it means to me. Other people get more value out of it than I do. It's like, you're raving and you're like, okay, whatever.
Exactly. That is a fab. I'm going to add that to my list of definitions.
Yeah. That was a metric that I was looking for. It's like, they think it's way cooler than I do, which is different than unique ability. That we'll get there in a second. But yeah.
So that's the next one. Yeah. And if you think about, if you imagine a page, unique, excellent on the top half, and then competent, incompetent. So let me describe unique ability, then I'll describe where I want everybody to be. Yeah. Because why not? So unique is you have superior skill. You're better at it than most people. And this is, again, objective, not subjective. It's not just like, I'm fabulous. And you love it. It feeds you. It gives you energy. You can. There's room for never-ending improvement because you have the passion for it. Your eyes light up. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's so much fun working with people who have unique abilities. They're so excited. And it's kind of like, and if someone hands you this type of activity, you're like, oh, me? I get to do this? I literally do this with the baton. Yeah. Let me just go back for a second, because I think this is hysterical. So I actually do this demonstration from teamwork. I pass it to someone. I'm like, okay, you're incompetent. What do incompetent people do in a relay race with a baton? They drop it. And I literally let it clang on the floor. Competent, they run, but they walk and they're like, la-di-da-di-da. You're trying to win a race. Excellent, they run, but they're also sweating. Unique ability, you pass the baton to them and they're like, oh, me? And then they run like the wind, which is what you want. So it's interesting. So it gives you energy. But the other part, and this is why sometimes people don't think they're very good and they take it for granted, is they're like, oh, I can always see room to get better. In our lovely Puritan work ethic society, it's like, oh, that must mean I'm not very good. And then, but the truth is you wouldn't be. Theoretically, I know I can get better at admin, but that ain't never going to happen. But with coaching and with speaking, I know I can always get better. Always, because I love it and I care about it. So that passion allows you to kind of pursue it to lengths that other people would not go. And then the other thing is we assume it's so easy for us, doesn't everyone do this? Is the number one thing that people say about their unique abilities. But that means, to my mind, they're not paying attention, because clearly look around you. No one else is doing it the way you're doing it. Right. Yep. And it's as individual and unique as your fingerprint. And again, when people bring that passion and that heart and that love, because excellence sometimes is head, right? It's like intellectually they're really good at it, but their heart is bored. They don't care about it as much. When you can tap into someone with superior skill and passion, it's like fireworks go off. I will add one other distinction, which I don't know if you're familiar with. Sometimes we have a passion for something we're not very good at. That's called a hobby.
Yes. So
that's like, that could be golf, that could be tennis. So hopefully it's not your work. That would not be good. Like I would say marketing falls into that realm for me. I like it, but I don't think I'm very good at it. So that was good to realize, because I was head of marketing for a year. That's terrifying. So, but if you think about unique, excellent, competent, incompetent, my goal, and I think every business owner, entrepreneur, team leader's goal for people with whom they work is to have everyone on the top half of that page.
Mm-hmm.
If you can be like 50% of your time in unique and 50% in, 45, and then the rest sprinkled competent, hopefully nothing in incompetent, you're smoking. Your team is smoking hot, right? Because everyone is better at it than most people. They're all put in the right places. And a good chunk of their energy and heart has passion to it. So how can you not win in that situation? And not that you're going to help everyone else win at the same time, even other companies. It's not that you're trying to like beat someone else into the ground. You're like, hey, we can all get better. There's just a dimension to that when you harness or unleash that within people, incredible things are possible.
Awesome.
Is that good definition?
Yeah, absolutely. That was fantastic. It was really good. So here's a question that just sort of came through. I'm going to trust it. So we haven't talked about it yet, and maybe we won't get there, but you've written and spoken for a long time and have massive experience around teams and all of that. So say we get stuck next to each other on the airplane, and I get a little sense of that. And you know what? Either I'm just about to start a team or I just got put into position of leadership in a team. How do I, if I'm quote unquote starting for whether it's new or existing, what are some of either the common pitfalls that common sense tells us to do that doesn't make any sense? And then what are the things that you just know if you start here, you'll end up in a better spot?
Good question. I would actually start by seeing how
and if
much.
we need to get more specific so you have something to work with.
That's good. I'm picturing beside you on a plane. I'm good.
Okay, cool.
I can see
great.
it. And I've just been on a million planes, so that's
Yes,
hard.
exactly.
Trust me. I would actually, here's how I would start. So this is sort of an answer to your question, but you'll see where I'm going. I would actually find out how self-aware you are. So know thyself to me is rule number one. I have very few rules in my life.
Yep.
One of them is know thyself. The other one is I trust people to the degree that I think they know themselves. That's my trust measure. And that's kind of it. It's my rule. And so I would see if you were curious about yourself. I would see how much you knew yourself, if you've done any profiles, if you were interested. If you were not, I might stop the conversation, to be perfectly honest. Because if someone's closed, there's nothing, I'm not there to convince you. If you're interested, I have a cajillion and a half resources. But if you're not, you're closed. And there's nothing I can say or do. And it's just going to frustrate me and you. So I would not do that. So presuming you're self-aware.
Can we tie something together real quick?
Yeah.
A couple things, actually. And then I promise we'll get back there. So one is it's ridiculously consistent with who I know you to be for many years. Yeah. It's also consistent with what we talked about before, which is you got to start with yourself. But what I would throw out there is, hey, folks, if you're in a position of leadership and you don't want to explore yourself, do us all the friendly and put somebody else that does. Step off to the side. You could be, owner, maybe even get a corner office. But like, if you're going to lead, what we just heard, at least what I think I heard was, because trust me, if you were going to be this person, you would want a person like Shannon that wants to work with you at a minimum. So if you don't qualify, maybe you're not qualified, right? Anyway, sorry, little plug in there.
No, I appreciate that. It's true.
Let's get honest though. There's nothing wrong with that. Let's get back into unique ability. You accidentally ended up in a position of leadership. Get out of the way and let somebody else lead. Anyway, sorry.
And you might just be so task focused, and people are frankly either a means to an end or an impediment, one of the two. Yeah. That go be a brilliant specialist, contribute your amazing cognitive, whatever capabilities, but please, God, do not lead people. Because a good leader grows other leaders. Well,
and I think this is my bet from what I've seen. My overwhelming bet is that a person, man or woman, who is more of that position, that ends up in that position, more than likely can create enough value to be part of a team in a different way. You know what I mean? It's just like, just make your contribution. Yeah. Like you were good enough at it. They wanted to put you in charge.
Yeah.
Just say, hey, good idea, wrong application. Let's just get more people around so I can be cooler at what I do. Right. Yeah. I think that, right. Anyway.
Yes.
So
No, I
probably
totally
every
appreciate
visionary
that.
out there, by the way, quite frankly.
Say again?
To some extent. To some extent, I think it's almost every visionary out there that hasn't gotten their number two. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's really true.
Anyway, but let's get back to planet
So
Earth.
that's the first thing I would do is kind of be curious about you and see if you were curious about yourself and knew anything. Yeah, everyone I end up being close to and hanging out with, and including certified Colby consultants and all the other things I've done, they're just super curious about people, and they want to know what makes them tick and how they can get along with them better and how they can have more effective action with people. So it's all about productive work. Don't get me wrong. It's not about therapy. Yeah. It's about getting stuff done in a way that works for humans. And so then, oh my gosh, then sky's the limit. So then I would talk to them about their team, what kind of a team, what type of people they'd be working with, what do they end up focusing on. And then if you really want to build a team quickly, and I thought about this, and it's going to be, maybe the answer is a little surprising, but if someone was interested in knowing with whom they were working and being successful, I would have them have the team do their Colby profiles. Colby.com. They can set you up with a business account, super easy, and then you can track.
And ridiculously inexpensive for what it is. Like, I mean, I'm not affiliated in any way, shape, or form, other than it's just ridiculously awesome, and it should be more expensive. And I told him that, and you were there when I said it.
I like that it's more accessible to everybody. It's what, $55 US or something. Anyway,
it's ridiculous. Anyways,
yeah, and it's available. Seriously, I had my husband do it before I married him. So this is a brag on Colby. I think it's inexpensive enough that we buy them in bulk and we give them to people all the time, because I just think it's just so valuable for people to have. Like, it's just not, it's just too inexpensive not to be able to share. Yeah, we do it with all the candidates, that even if they don't make it, we're like, hey, you will want to know this for your next thing if it's not with us. Like, and they're like, so everyone, even who applies to work at Strategic Coach and makes it through, we actually do the Colby before we fall in love with a person, because once we fall in love with them, if they have the wrong Colby, we're still tempted, even though they will not be successful, because we know how we want someone to strive in that role.
Sure.
So we actually do it fairly early in the hiring process, but we want to leave people better than we found them, and that includes people we don't hire.
We're in the same boat. Yeah. No, we're trying to create value in every interaction, and it makes it super easy because Colby's going to bring value. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, the other profile I would actually do first, and definitely have them do their, I don't like the word superior, but whoever their leader is, find out who that human is so you can work better with them. That would be key. So, because if I'm initiating quick start, I'm working with someone who's a short quick start initiating fact finder follow through. We need to align expectations. Otherwise, it may not end well. So that would be key. And then the second profile that I would have people do is actually Working Genius, which is a much newer profile. Patrick Lencioni's table group has uncovered it. They didn't discover it. They uncovered it, which I think is really true. And they've identified the 6 stages of a process. And to my mind, it's the only teamwork profile I've ever seen, to the point where I'm like, why didn't I think of this? Which sounds very arrogant. But a little bit, it's the make it up, make it real, make it recur that we talk about. So they have wonder invention. That's the ideation phase. Then you've got the activation phase, which is discernment and galvanizing. And then you've got the implementation phase, which is enablement and tenacity. And so, and they have a great team map. It's a writable PDF. It's available on the website. Super cool. You don't even need to be certified to do that. And although the certification is excellent, I was actually really glad I had some coaching chops when I did that. I was like, oh, I got to have my act together here. It's not that it's not for newbies, but they do it quickly and make sure you know your stuff. So I'd recommend that. But because what it will tell you is the parts of the process. Any project has a wonder, invention, discernment, galvanizing, enablement, tenacity phase to it. And you want to know, do I have some tenacity people who are going to make sure we cross the finish line? Is someone going to galvanize and make sure and rally people to the cause? Are they going to support people once they've been rallied? Do you have someone who's going to invent something and then discern whether or not it's actually a good idea? Is someone asking those big questions? Like, you want all of it. By the way, the acronym is WIDGET, which took me way too long to figure out. Anyway, so when you have, so WIDGET kind of tells you where Working Genius tells you where in the process what brings them joy, what's a competency, and what's a frustration. And just to be clear, this profile it's in the affective realm. Joy and frustration are feeling words. So that's where someone, and frankly, you want to feed their joy and you don't want them to be frustrated. So that will tell you where in the process they want to be. And then Colby will tell you how they will strive and how they will take action. And if you have those two things, you are off to the races. Then next I would do Clifton Strengths. And then if you're associated with Coach or you, then they could maybe do Print. But certainly that will set them up for success, and they will have a great place to start. So that's how to get to know their team and themselves very, very quickly, put people in the right places, the right, seats on the bus, right people, right seats, as US talks about it. And then you'll just stack the odds in your favor. I'm all about how do we stack the odds? How do we mitigate the risk? Because you could have a brilliant person, to go back to my relay race example, in the wrong place in the race. And that's going to mess you up. And you could have, and you'll be like, I have a super talented, capable person. Why aren't they being effective? It's because they're not in the right seat. They're not in the right place in the race. And so I think those two things, and they're both inexpensive. Oh my gosh. Like for less than $100 a person, you will have all this information, and probably for less than an hour of their time, you will know this really valuable information. So that would be what I would recommend.
With both of them, the brilliance is that it's just so accessible so easily. Like it's not, I think with the insights that you get in both, it would be worth some kcal and some effort, but it's just, it's light in terms of it's so accessible in terms of, if you're, this is not something, if folks are willing to do this work, they will see themselves in it for sure. Like it's 100%. Just not. And I think it's with some of the other stuff and I won't mention any of the names. We just won't. We haven't mentioned them yet. We tried other stuff prior, and we moved almost exclusively away from behavioral altogether because I was just like, it doesn't. It just seems. It's
not predictive. They're not predictive.
Well, and it didn't seem to get, and then it led to more conversation without a lot of. I mean, it helped surface some things. I think anytime we did any of this stuff, there was always some repair that was done, right? You know what I mean? Like or some bonding that was done. So it wasn't totally negative, but I didn't feel like people walked away with great value. Right. Whereas with these two, for sure, there's no question. They're like, oh, wow. They sort of get themselves a little bit more like, yeah.
It's super practical. I have done a lot of profiles. And some of them are just fun and entertaining, like which Avenger are you? Clearly, Black Widow. Excuse me. But they're just for fun. The other one that I've found that seems to be very intuitive for people, and they really love it, is, but may not still meet some of your criteria, but it's Clifton Strengths. And I know for me, so my top 5 are Maximizer, Strategic, Individualization, Arranger, and Relator. I just read something about Relator the other day, which I'm like, how could I have known? I took my first Clifton Strengths in 2012. Long time ago, right? And it said, oh, Relator. There's one of the lines was something to the effect of you love basically nothing more than to work hard with your friends.
Oh, maybe one day you'll get that.
I know, right? But I realized I love it. I'm like, I cannot think of a better description of me.
Yeah.
It's like, first of all, if we can't be friends, I won't probably work hard with you. And if we're going to work hard together, we better be friends. And I would describe our workshop like that too, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm with friends. Yeah. That's kind of the point. And if we can't be friends, it's probably not going to work out. So that was just useful. But a maximizer and strategic. And when I read the definition of strategic, I was like, really? And it's not a word, it's not a term I would have used on myself. And their definition of a strength is a talent times investment, time, money, energy, equals a strength. And a strength is something where you can have near perfect performance. If that's not sexy, I don't know what is. Yeah. Right. And so I'm like, that's interesting. But I didn't relate to it. And then I looked up and went, oh yeah. Where do you come to work every day? Strategic coach.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So that was funny. And then I leaned into it more, and guess what? I'm really damn good at strategy. So and I have 2 relationship strengths, individualization and relator. Guess what? I like maximizer strategies, profiles or strategies, communications tools or strategies, Chris Voss's negotiation strategy, right? And guess what they are? They're people strategies. Like my Clifton strengths defines me so well. It's not eerie, but kind of. And it also, so Colby validated me, and then Clifton strengths gave me direction about how to lean hard into those things. And it also makes me appreciate that I think 5 of the 9 executing strengths are in my bottom 10. So I'm like, okay, clearly if I want to get stuff done, I need to make friends with people who are good at getting stuff done, which I've done. And with people who have all relationship strengths, I need to probably slow down and be a little gentler in my communication. So it just, part of the value profiles is to learn about yourself, but also, this is my favorite quote to share with you. It also helps you work better with other people. And one of, I was actually talking to just a few hours ago with a relative of this person, this is his brother-in-law. He said, before I knew about Colby, and you could substitute any other profile, I thought everyone was just like me, only not as good.
Oh,
Damn.
wow. I wish I had been that aware. I've thought the first half of that 100 times. I just never didn't realize that I had finished it with that. But yeah, definitely acted that way.
Oh, I know.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Good.
So it means I can, someone who is a completely opposite Colby profile to me. Now, I want to work together with them on the project. Who do I have the most fun hanging out with? And where do we vibe? And other initiating quick start, short fact finder follow through.
Sure.
Right. But guess what? Did we get anything done? Not much. Dana Babs and Bruce and me. Okay. So Dana Babs, co-founders of Strategic Coach, my husband Bruce and me. Dan and Bruce have the same Colby, 2210-4.
10.
Babs and I, she's 3392, I'm 3295.
Yeah.
Between the 4 of us, we have 38 out of 40 in quick start. And I think it adds up to 12 fact finder and 10 follow through.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we have these wonderful, imaginative, sparkly, glittery dinners and conversations. And then we leave with no danger of anything ever happening. Well, brainstorm to our heart's content. Is it fun? Yes. Is it productive? Hell no. And so what I love about Colby is it helps give me an appreciation, because I can be, before I knew about whatever, I thought everyone was just like me, only not as good. It gives me an appreciation for how other people operate, how they strive. It's important. Another framework, and I'm going to be coaching on this on Thursday, is that if you know that, there's thinking, feeling, and doing, that's the 3 parts of the mind. And some people gravitate much more to the different quadrants or different sections. It's like, how do I communicate with someone who's all thinking? How do I communicate with someone who's all feeling? Juliet, my sister, whom we know really well. I'm a doing person. Those are my motivations. So just knowing that everyone has value, but they approach life and success and actions differently means that I can bridge, and I want to get stuff done. So it's not just that I'm being super nice. I mean, I don't want to be mean, but it's also productive.
And what was the thinking, feeling, doing? What's that framework? I'm not sure.
Well, the thinking, it's good for me to know that there are people in there who just have all the chips and all the sensors for, think about rationality, input, intellection, getting all the facts, all of that. And then there are other people who have extra sensors for feeling. Yeah. They can tune into a room like nobody's business. I'm not terrible, but I was in this meeting. I just was watching this video today, and I'm with someone who's got lots of feeling capabilities, and she picked up on something I completely missed. We both been in exactly the same meetings, and she called it. And then sure enough, this person is no longer on that team. And she's, I saw this and this and this happen last time. I'm like, really? Yeah. Didn't even notice. And then I'm going to pick up all the cues for getting stuff done. Right. So people are tuned differently, and they pick up different parts of information. And I need all of that to get what I want to done. Yeah. And so it just makes me smarter as far as I'm concerned. When I have bandwidth for the ways that different people operate, it's not, I know what's best for me, but it doesn't mean that I don't need and appreciate what other people's capabilities.
Yeah. Well, one thing that came through a half a step back that I want to just sort of share more just to make sure it happens. Might not make it to the final, but so I think most of us, I've taken Clifton Strengths, and I think at least half of the company has. I don't know that we use it, and I didn't get the same value out of it. But when I saw you talking about it, I'm like, I need to think about this, because there's no way. If you think it's valuable, I must be missing something. I didn't think it was invaluable. You know what I mean? I just didn't see it. And I realized it's like, oh, you know what? There's so many damn strengths which are required. I don't think they've added any, right? You know what I mean? I don't think they should minimize the list, but we don't internally, and I personally didn't want to take it on to be able to help people really understand what the different strengths are. Because when I heard you talk about it, because then there's also the interplay of the strengths with themselves, right? So it's not just as simple as, well, you can read what the 5 paragraphs are. Like, that's not like, you got to start thinking through, like, how do they come together and what does that mean? So it has me thinking, gosh, we probably need to find, we've got a couple people on the team that are interested in those types of things. And it's like, would you like to learn more about this and potentially be our internal champion just so we can get more out of it? Right. And I think that's because I can see it now. So thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah.
The other thing is, there's one, I haven't looked at mine for a while. I had 2 logins, always complicate things as usual. I do that. Yeah. They have something called Strengths Insights. And there's an element of magic in those profiles, because it actually combines your 5.
Okay.
Like, 2 people with responsibility and a ranger could have a slightly different description because of all of their other ones.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, whoever did the work to figure out how to answer, like, combine it in such a unique way is brilliant, because it feels like someone who, like, has known you for years is telling you about yourself, and you're like, how the hell did you know that? Like, it's kind of wild. And then I'll send you, there's a great description of the different strengths. I've known about Clifton Strengths for 13 years. And had I ever read that line before? Oh, you like to work really hard with friends? I'm like, I don't remember that. So I'm always picking up new stuff too. But again, I think from the context that we're talking about, Colby is incredibly validating. You're like, oh, now see, I knew I was right to do papers at the last minute. Or, you know, someone's a deep researcher, then they don't take action until they're, you know, sorted, you know, with all their facts. They're like, see, told you. Like, it's very validating. Clifton Strengths gives people direction about how to expand their capabilities into the future. So that might be the thing for you that is interesting, and to lean into a little bit more.
Thanks for listening to Beats Working, Winning the Game of Work. If something resonated, share the episode and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And remember, clarity isn't something you find, it's something you practice. And getting paid to practice life beats working to get paid.